Gil Holzman is President and CEO of Eco Atlantic, and he joins us here today at the Africa Oil Assembly. Gil, welcome.
Good morning, Drake. Happy to be here.
Well, Gil, you're the CEO of Eco Atlantic, a pure play Namibian explorer. I just want to maybe you could back up a bit and tell us, for those of us who maybe aren't quite familiar with the sizes that are involved when you're talking about sub-Saharan Africa. Namibia is actually, I think, 50% bigger than France. So we're talking about a big opportunity here. What are you looking at? What kind of acreage have you got there?
Thank you, Drake. Well, as you correctly mentioned, Namibia is big. It's big also in terms of its economical water. We're talking about more than 500,000 square kilometers of offshore oil blocks that were granted in the past 2 or 3 years. We are focusing on one of the 4 sub-basins offshore Namibia in the Atlantic, the Walvis Basin, which is just south of the Walvis Ridge and north of the Luderitz area. The reason we are focusing on Walvis Basin is because our science since inception suggested that Walvis Basin is probably the real oil kitchen of Namibia. You have Orange Basin, which is also prospective, mainly for gas. The Kudu gas field is located there. But we thought since 2010, when we first picked our licenses, that Walvis Basin could be the real oil kitchen. Recently it was proven, by the way, by HRT Wingat-1 well that identified 2 very thick source rock that can generate, or they can charge a lot of oil into the basin. Now the play is de-risked dramatically, simply because of this proof of source rock. Source rock was a key risk element when we started. Now it's been proven. Now the game is to go and find the reservoir, the traps, and hopefully the seal. It's not a sub-salt kind of play, it's a sub-shale kind of play, but we are very, very optimistic that the current well of HRT, the Murumba, and the following wells by Repsol and the rest players in the basin will identify and will find the big oil discoveries that everybody is anticipated for. Mm-hmm. We have a net prospective resource of 14 billion barrels. We have 18 all over our 3 blocks, and together with our partners, so we have net of 14 out of. Some would suggest that Namibia might host more than 40 billion barrels of oil.
40 billion.
Yeah.
So we're not messing around here. This is going to be transformational.
It's going to be transformational not only for Namibia, for the entire region. Namibia is a big country in area. It's a small country in terms of population, only 2 million or 2.5 million people. So it's going to be transformational in any case.
You mentioned the HRT well. That news came out, I think, last week or 2 weeks ago. They proved that there's oil there. So now that we know that the oil is there, what is the big risk now?
As I said, now one of the key risk elements was source rock. Not only that they proved the source rock is there, they proved there are 2 very prolific source rocks that can, as I said, very thick, that can generate huge amount of oil. Now the play will be to identify the good reservoirs. The first well was targeting a carbonate reef reservoir. It was unfortunately less developed than expected, but this current well and our wells as well, our future wells, will target big sandy canyons, fen complexes, turbidite sands. We think that these kind of sands will serve as much better reservoir. And as I said, if you ask my science team, they will tell you that now when the source rock issue is solved, the biggest risk might be the trap or the seal. We see good seals on 2D, we see some good seals on 3D from our peers. So we believe that it's not a question of if, it's a question of when.
And so do you anticipate on the back of that, I mean, the drilling history of Namibia is kind of, it's still an underexplored place. You know, Chariot had a couple of goes last year. They didn't, unfortunately, find anything. I think you're one of maybe about 6 independents looking for. I mean, are all the best acres snapped up, or do you foresee people kind of entering this now that it's kind of been de-risked a little bit and getting more interested in Namibia? What do you see?
It's not only that the best acreage are snapped out; there's no acreage available. All the acreage up to the point of 2,500 mark meters water depth are taken. Namibia will probably open a more deep water kind of play in the next couple of years, but they're now spec shooting it with PGS. But again, as you said, relatively to its huge offshore acreage, it is heavily underexplored. We're talking about only 18 wells being drilled to date since the 60s. 8 of which were to appraise and to prove the Kudu gas field. And you have, so basically that leaves you with 10 wells drilled to date offshore, most of them, 7 of them, based on old vintage 2D, and only the recent 2 by Chariot and 1 by HRT were based on real good quality 3D. Chariot wells, you said they found nothing. I tend to disagree. The northern well, the Tapir South, what they call, was not a big success. However, the southern well, the Nimrod one, the Nimrod prospect, did show hydrocarbon. Again, the reservoir was less developed. As I said, now the challenge will be reservoir and trap and not source rock. But they did prove source rock down south in the Orange Basin. We are not there, but we cross fingers for everyone that is operating, that is spending money in the region, and we welcome more and more investments and more farming activity. I can tell you that after the HRT oil discovery, and they did discover oil, they did discover very good quality of oil, 38 to 42 API. Not in commercial quantities, unfortunately, because of reservoir, but it will come. I can tell you that more and more big independent mid-tier companies and the majors are eyeing now Namibia, and it's only a question of when they will find the oil, and then you'll see the big boys coming into Namibia, and the only way to play for them will be to farm into acreage like ours and the rest.
Is that a business model for you? Would you be happy to sell out in 2 years and discover oil and remain an explorer in other parts, or do you see yourself being there for a long time, producing and seeing it through?
Our long-term strategy is to always remain a Namibian company and to farm down portion of our acreage to the big boys in order for them to come and drill with us, in order for us to gain from their experience and their know-how of offshore deep water drilling. But we are a Namibian company in many senses. We have a very strong local partners base. We have 10% partners as NAMCO, the National Petroleum Corporation, and we are the only one who listed our company in the Namibian Stock Exchange.
I was going to ask you about that. What does that bring you in terms of investor base, or is that purely kind of to show your commitment to the country, or is that a material thing for you to be on the Namibian Stock Exchange?
It comes from many different reasons, but I think that the primary reason is, first of all, is for us to show our commitment to the country. But it also enables local Namibians that are very excited about this new oil and gas exploration play to participate. According to their foreign exchange regulation, they cannot invest money in Toronto Stock Exchange or in AIM or elsewhere. This is their vehicle for them to take part in this very exciting new sector in Namibia, new business sector in Namibia, and through ECO and others that hopefully will follow us, they are able to take a part in the game. I'm talking about the general public, and I'm talking about the Namibian institutional, also, by the way, South African.
Let's just talk about financing for a second. It's been an extremely challenging 2013 and not an easy 2012 for a junior oil company who's focused purely on exploration, especially in the frontiers. So it would ask you the question, how have you found it, and where's your capital coming from, and are you set for the rest of the year?
First of all, unfortunately, I must agree with you. 2012 and 2013 have been extremely challenging in terms of fundraising and financing. For example, if you look at the statistics of the TSX for the first quarter of 2013, you had 0 IPOs, unlike TSX. TSX is a host for so many companies. You had 50% less trading volume, and you had 50% less financing activity. So it's challenging. We incepted the company, or we started the company with private money of our big shareholders or our principals, but we were very lucky since to raise, at least in 2 tranches, more than $12 million and an additional $10 million in working capital commitment. So we are in a good shape relative to others. We still have more than $6.5 million in our bank account. We keep our budget in a very tight manner. We only use it for pure exploration, of course, some overhead. But I tell you how I see the markets. The investor wouldn't stop investing. They are simply more selective, and once they will identify good opportunities with good potential returns, they will put their money there. Namibia, or especially Eco-Atlantic, is presenting such an opportunity at the moment, simply because, as I said, the play is de-risked heavily from the HRT latest results. Hopefully in 40 days from now we will see a commercial discovery, then the markets will turn back, because general public and general markets, they don't appreciate a technical success like HRT had. The industry does, but the general market, they do not. However, if they see a commercial success or a commercial discovery, or if they see that the play is further de-risked, and you see the big boys and the mid-tier companies coming into Namibia, I believe that the finance will be available for us and companies alike.
And it's early days, isn't it, still? I mean, you said maybe a dozen wells drilled off Namibia. It's fewer than it were drilled in the North Sea before that was discovered, so there's every chance we're going to see that commercial discovery sometime soon. What are you doing for your part? What is your drilling campaign looking like for the rest of the year?
We're not there yet. Our drilling commitments are scheduled for 2015 and 2016, so we still have time. We need to shoot quite a big 3D program, starting hopefully this season, probably in October. But we still have time on our acreage. As I said, we still have money. We are in a position to further learn and further study about the basin. By the way, Walvis Basin, you mentioned the North Sea. Walvis Basin is in the size of the North Sea. And the North Sea saw dozens of wells before the first discovery, and today whenever you put a rig there, you have oil. I believe this is going to be the same case. So we need time, we need patience, we need to manage our budget correctly, we need to manage our work program in a proper manner. I can tell you that the Namibian government are very supportive in that sense. They give you the time, they understand the financial burdens, they understand that it's a pure exploration play. So with every well that is being drilled, first 2 by Chariot, now the HRT Wingat 1, in 40 days the HRT Marumba 1, next year you're going to see Repsol, maybe Serica drilling. With every well that is being drilled, we gain so much better information on the basin, and it helps all the companies that are operating there to further de-risk the play and to manage our operations in a much more accurate manner.
So what are the near-term catalysts then? If we're watching your company, what are we looking out for in the next 12 months, 18 months, or however?
I thought near-term is a month. HRT are currently drilling the Marumba well. They have 2 very interesting prospects there, the Baobab, actually 3, but the Baobab and the Marumba and the Silverado. We see the source rock, they prove the source rock, they prove the oil is a very high quality, as I said, 38, 40, 42 API, pure oil, no water content. They're targeting, in our mind, they're targeting the right targets in terms of potential reservoir, big big sand channels and fan complex. So hopefully you're going to see a very positive catalyst in the next 30, 40 days. And even if not, I believe it's going to be a very good well, technically wise. We will learn a lot. Our acreage is surrounding HRT, so it has some impact on our understanding of our blocks. And then you're going to see Repsol, again, a big company that is starting drilling. I believe in January. They're waiting their new rig coming out of Korea, sometimes in November. So I believe in January they will drill. As I said, Serica and BP might drill next year, maybe Pan-Continental and the others. So until today, you only saw three real wells in the new era of exploration in Namibia. The 2 of Chariot, the 1 of HRT. You're going to see another one coming in 40 days. HRT are going to drill the southern blocks, the Orange Basin, the Moosehead prospect, immediately after, Repsol and others. So the next 12 to 18 months, you're going to see at least 5, 6 wells. With a chance of success of each well, probably the oil will be found in the next 12 months.
Let's hope so. My final question for you, you've been to a couple of oil council assemblies. What do you get out of coming to a place like this, and how have you found it?
I think it's one of the best places or the best venues for networking, mainly networking. I met everyone that is really interested in Namibia here. I met the Gulf guys, I met the Chariot guys, I met several investors that are really interested in Namibia. So it's very good networking. I see, you get to learn a lot from other people's experience. You get to learn a lot from the seniors of the industry. You get to update each other about your whereabouts, about their whereabouts. You have a potential for, JVs and farming deals. So, and it's Paris, it's summer, nice people, friends. So I enjoy it very much, and I certainly intend to participate in every oil council that refers to Africa or the world.
Great, well, we look forward to it. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much, Rick.